deal, and they're very excited. The trip was really fun. I love driving. I've loved driving my whole life, and it was a great road trip. We got to stop in Pontiac and visit with the state troopers for a while at the District 6 headquarters in Pontiac. We also stopped in and got a little lunch at McDonald's, one of my favorite restaurants. Had a couple burgers and a chocolate shake. And for those of you who are curious, yes, I did share my hamburgers with the dogs. I always do. I eat the first half of the hamburger, and then they split the second half. I had a couple burgers. They did not share in the chocolate shake. I do share ice cream cones with them, but I didn't have an ice cream cone today. And it was a great drive, beautiful drive. This morning, we were meeting with Northwest Municipal League, meeting with mayors and village presidents and the village trustees, talking about local government and how I, as governor, want to work very closely with the leaders of local government to help make our government more efficient, effective, transparent, and help bring down the local property tax burden that's just so painfully high in Illinois. There are a lot of things I can do as governor to help the local governments streamline their operations, bring their costs in line, and we can work together to make our government work more cooperatively and more effectively for all families, for all taxpayers all over the state. We had a good meeting this morning. We're going to unload here this afternoon. Tonight I'm going to go to the basketball game. I think I get to see Springfield High play. I think it's Sacred Heart they're playing. That's going to be fun.
Who are you rooting for?
You know what? I root for everybody in Illinois. Tomorrow morning I'm going to Union Baptist Church tomorrow for the full service. I'm going to try to go to the movies tomorrow afternoon. American Sniper's out. I haven't had a chance to see it. I hear it's a terrific movie. I am going to invite a number of legislators who live not too far away and see if they can join me, go to the movies and maybe get a cup of coffee or something, a bite to eat together and visit a little bit. You know what? I'm just looking forward to a good next few weeks here in Springfield. I know the General Assembly is going to come back in a few days and look forward to spending a lot of time with them. And our real focus these days has been on recruiting our team. For the government. We're trying to assemble the most talented team of folks ever been assembled to run a state government. I'm very excited about the folks who've volunteered to join our administration. We're also very focused on getting in and analyzing the government operations, understanding the spending levels in each department, understanding the staffing inside each department. So we're prepared both for our State of the State speech that's coming up February 4th, and so we're ready also for our budget address February 18th. We want to do this on time. I don't want to do what's been done in the past where budget addresses keep getting pushed off and delayed. Let's start talking about it right on a timely basis, have everything run on time, and let's get into the detail because we've got a big turnaround to do together, the General Assembly and myself and Evelyn Sanguinetti. So we're excited to get to work, so it's great to be back.
Governor, have you thought about, given your position on spending, how that DuPage College buyout went? You know, they talked about $750,000 or a huge amount for the president, and also the UIC president got like $100,000 goodbye package too. I was just wondering if that is something that you're concerned about. Does it violate your executive order or anything like that?
I don't know enough detail about those particular circumstances you mentioned, so I can't really comment. I will say every place we look, we're finding some, decisions that are costing taxpayers. We're finding spending levels that really aren't justifiable. We're finding a lot of crony kind of relationship deals. I can't comment on that situation, but I can say what we're finding we're very troubled by. We're going to have to make a lot of changes.
Governor, you talk about getting into detail. Now that you have most of your team or a lot of your team in place, are we going to hear more detail about the budget ahead of February 4th and the 18th? We haven't heard a lot of specifics yet. Are we going to hear some of those?
Well, we're going to have tremendous amount of detail and specifics, both in the State of the State address, specific policy proposals to turn the state around, and very detailed budget and spending analysis for our budget address. You'll get a lot of detail. What we're really focused on right now is trying to communicate to all the people of Illinois what our circumstance is in more detail than they've heard in the past. Where have we been spending, and some of the causes behind the spending levels of where they've been. The conflicts of interest between the politicians and special interest groups, the structure inside the government that's causing spending to be too high, and comparing ourselves and our own performance in the government to some of the other states around us. So everybody's got a benchmark to compare to. So we know where our challenges are and what we've got to choose to do. Our two big priorities, critical priorities, is to make sure we have a booming economy, with great career options for everybody who's working in Illinois, and we have more jobs available than folks who want to work, so we got rising wages and rising real incomes, and to make sure we've got the best schools in America, in every school district, including job training, occupational training, technical training. I want to consider that part of education. That's not separate, that's all part of how we educate our people of Illinois so they can maximize their incomes for their families. That's our priority. The overarching goal at everything that I do will be to accomplish two things: make Illinois the most competitive state in America and the most compassionate state. As I've said many times, I think we can judge ourselves as a state, we can judge ourselves as a society and a community by how well we take care of our most vulnerable citizens, our citizens in need, our people who are struggling and who need our support. We need good support services, healthcare services, support services for our families in need. We need great schools in the classroom. We need wonderful teachers who are well compensated, well trained, and who are highly effective in their jobs. But to do that, we need to be very competitive. And when I say competitive, I mean a booming economy, the strongest. I want to have the strongest economy of any state in the United States. We can do it. We have every reason because we got the hardworking people, we got the best location, and competitive. Very attractive to business, so we have the strongest, most competitive economy, and we have the best schools in America. I'm a competitive guy. I want Illinois to be the best in those critical measures.
So despite your talking about making Illinois more compassionate, some of the people that you've hired have overseen in the various states that they've worked in or perhaps been governor of, for example, some pretty severe cutbacks, be it no taking off one day of school for kids or really drastic cuts to Medicaid services. Are those the sort of things that you're looking at, the recommendations that you want for Illinois?
Well, what we're going to look at is how we can make the government very efficient, effective, and transparent. We'll be outlining the detail of our proposals in the State of the State address and in our budget address. And between now and then, we want to outline the problems so all the families understand in Illinois what we're dealing with and why we're going to make the decisions we are. We are going to overhaul our entire tax code so we can have the growth to make sure we have the revenues to fund everything that we need to fund, and the government is fully and properly financed.
This year you want that, or is that going to be more of a long-term fix? Because sometimes, for example, Illinois' Constitution has a lot of constraints on what the tax code can be like and what it can do.
Well, that's fair. Our reforms will be both short-term as well as long-term. We're going to focus on both. The critical thing of concern to me is too often politicians really focus on the short term and the next election. And that means they patch things together, Band-Aids and chewing gum to get through a particular budget year, and they kick the can down the road on the structural reforms. I want to combine the long-term structural reforms that will really make us growing and competitive, along with the short-term fixes to make sure we get through this budget hole. We've had a budget crisis created by my predecessor in the governor's office and the so-called budget that got passed, which was not a budget. It was nowhere near balanced. They just assumed that they were going to win and hike taxes after the election, and so they not only didn't appropriate enough money for many of the departments, but then they told some of the people in the departments, go ahead and ignore what we appropriated, spend what you want to spend, because we'll deal with it later. So they have not been honest about it, and that's a problem that I've got to fix, and I will fix it, but it's going to be hard to do.
Have you looked at all at the AFSCME contract? There are a lot of union members here actually this weekend that are meeting, and you've talked about bonuses and such in this video that you sent to employees, for example, but that's not something that the current contract allows for. Have you looked at it, read it, and what are you going to give your advisors who will begin those negotiations?
Well, our team is studying the contract in detail now. And we look forward to very productive negotiations and discussions with AFSCME, and SEIU, and the various other groups that represent the current employees here in Illinois. And we'll be proposing very innovative ideas so that they can be more effective in their jobs. It can be a wonderful government to work in. When they're highly productive, they can even make more money. I want people well rewarded for effectiveness and productivity when they're working for the taxpayers and for the families.
Have you reached out at all to union leaders? Personally?
I was just meeting with plumbers union leaders yesterday.
How about AFSCME?
Haven't met with a leader at AFSCME yet. That will be happening soon.
Before I ask you about the dogs, I just wanted to go back on this. That $750,000 for DuPage College, that doesn't concern you? Do you want to look at it? Do you want to examine it?
I'm sure we can have somebody on our team look. We have so many massive issues. I mean, crisis issues on the order of magnitude of hundreds of millions and billions. The case you're talking about, unfortunately, I wish I could comment. I don't know enough yet. I'm sure it's important, but when you look at what I'm facing, It's not quite as high on the radar as some of the other crises we have.
How do you prioritize that, you and your team? How do you prioritize the hundreds of billions of dollars that's facing this state in problems?
Yeah.
How do you look at these different departments and decide where to make cuts and where to fix the spending gaps?
Yeah, so that's a great question. That's exactly what we're doing right now. And the key is to have a talented team of innovative thinkers, so folks who kind of view problems outside the box and will think creatively, because we need creative solutions. So I'm trying to assemble people both who've been inside state government in Illinois in the past and can bring some of the historical perspective. We're bringing people from around the state of Illinois who've worked in other governments and are coming to work in Springfield. We want leaders from other states who've done turnarounds and restructuring, so they know state government and how other states have had success where Illinois has failed. And then we're also going to bring in business leaders, and we'll be announcing many of those soon, who really know how to run large organizations, come up with creative compensation plans and evaluation plans and metrics. And we've got business leaders from around the state who are volunteering to join us. So it's going to be a great combination of business leaders, education leaders, government leaders, talented folks to really focus on those priorities and help us make those decisions.
One more question.
Can you help us to just understand more about how you're going about your daily work? You know, you had no previous government experience. I know that you are, as you've said, a quick study and a hard worker, but do you get up every morning and read the Tribune and the SJR, for example, and you have this huge team listening to public radio, I advise too, but you have this huge group of advisors now. How do you discover who to listen to, who to meet with? I mean, I feel like you probably have a lot of people that are constantly begging for your attention at this point.
Well, you know what? This is what management and leadership is all about. That's assemble a talented team and have good, healthy debate. And we're going to have some strong disagreements, both within our team and outside, because these problems are very difficult, and the best answers are not always going to be crystal clear. And I love the give and take of really smart people who've been through the battles, and we're going to argue things through. And we'll be coming with our solutions, and we'll be laying those out for you very soon. We've got a crisis. We have a financial crisis, but we also have an ethical, moral crisis. We have an education deterioration problem. We have challenges, and we're gonna deal with them, every one of them, and get our state really compassionate and competitive over the next few years. And we're going to deal with this crisis in the next couple months very effectively.
So do the dogs stay down here, or what's the...
They're with me, and Pumpkin is 15, and she has arthritic knees, so she can't really handle stairs very well. Yeah. The governor's house has deteriorated badly. The elevator doesn't work, so I've got a plan. The dogs are not going to be able to sleep up near me as they normally like to do. They're going to have to sleep down by the kitchen. That's okay. They'll get used to that. They don't have to do that at home, but they're going to have to do that here. And I'm looking forward. They get a lot of room to roam here. The governor's residence is a wonderful place. You know, this is really an emotional issue for me. This governor's house. It's basically the White House of Illinois, and I want this to be a place of pride and strength. I want to see it nice. It doesn't have to be fancy. I noticed that they've sort of cleaned things up for you guys. It wasn't so nice when I first got here, and it needs a lot of work. But I want to live here, but I want to have this be the seat of government. I want this to be a nice place that's high quality, that's classic, that's traditional. I want a big American flag out front. I want a big Illinois flag out front. And I want to entertain and negotiate with and meet with and bond with legislators here, community leaders here, business leaders, and I want to invite presidents from around the world to come here and negotiate trade agreements, investment agreements, business expansion here. I want to invite business leaders from around Illinois and from around America and around the world to come meet with me here to negotiate ways that they can bring their businesses here and they can invest in Illinois so we can grow our economy. And I want this place to be a place of pride. It's got a ways to go. We're evaluating how big the reconstruction's got to be. I wish I could give you a time frame. It's a bigger everywhere we look, and we're doing a detailed study right now. Everywhere we look, there's more to be fixed up here than what we thought. The plaster is not dropping on us anymore, and the roof, they fixed that, so it's not leaking anymore. The furniture...
No danger, no structural issues?
Not that we found, but the plaster is coming down in some parts of the hallway and the bedrooms. The elevator doesn't work. Some of the stairs in the front where I want to bring guests, because it's a majestic front entrance. We don't even really use the primary entrance the way it should be anymore because of the deterioration. So we want we want this to be a nice place, a place of pride, and a place where we can really maximize the service. It can be a house of service for the people of Illinois.
Governor, do you want to move to merit selection of judges? The other day you made some comments about.
Amanda would ask for all. We'll be out here until the cows.
Well, I'm not making a policy recommendation on judges yet. What I've pointed out, it's a big problem. It's a big issue. Our judges are elected, and everybody can argue about whether that's good or bad. We're one of the few states that has just purely election judges. But when you combine pure just elections only, along with the fact that trial lawyers are basically unlimited in donating, contributing to judges for their elections, and then those same trial lawyers argue cases in front of those same judges, that's a conflict of interest. And we see that same thing going on with some of the government union leaders donating to politicians that then they negotiate pensions and deals with. It's a structural conflict of interest that's behind many of the problems we have in the state. Thanks, everybody. It's great to be with you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Come on, guys. All right, let's stay calm. The bell bumper said. Now, when she sits, she has to stick her leg out because her knees got. Our lab I had before her lived to 60. Our labs live a long time. They get good exercise. These are two of the best bird dogs that I've ever worked with. They're awesome on pheasants and ducks. That's it. Look over here. Everybody wants to spot. They don't want to look at you behind. There you go.
Why do you have labs?